To know him is to love him, and I do. My name is Elysabeth Alfano, host of the TV show, web series, and podcast, The Celebrity Dinner Party. Blues and soul musician Nicholas Barron joins me from the WGN radio studios in Chicago today to dish on life, love, and music. And he might even sing a little something. Grab a drink and sit tight. After a quick word about podcasts, I'll be right back with the sounds of Nicholas Barron. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, The Celebrity Dinner Party, with me, Elysabeth Alfano, on iTunes. Just search for The Celebrity Dinner Party. Or, if SoundCloud is your thing, you can find me there too by searching for The Celebrity Dinner Party. Subscribe and you'll never have to hunt for engaging and inspiring interviews again. They'll just land on your computer or your iPhone every time a new podcast comes out. So subscribe now to The Celebrity Dinner Party with me, Elysabeth Alfano, because the best conversations really do happen over dinner. We've got hip Nicholas Barron in the house with me here in WGN Studios. Nicholas.
My white Converse.
And your white Converse. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to say, Nicholas Barron is officially your name, but not to me. So since my name is Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth gets to say Sir Paul McCartney. And to me, I'm telling you, Chicago royalty, I call you Sir Nicholas Barron.
Oh, my God. That's over the top.
I don't know. Because I was making a list.
Very sweet of you.
Over the years, I've seen you perform so many times. So I was making a list. I've seen you perform at Navy Pier, Martyrs, Buddy Guy's, Lincoln Hall, Shuba's. There was even this funky little place on Lawrence. I'm not even sure it still exists. It was kind of a pizza joint, but then it wasn't. Do you remember that bar? I came to see you. Under the L? Or no, maybe it was on Argyle.
There's a lot of them. I'm saying.
Yes, right. Okay, yeah, I know.
Over a long period of time.
This is what I mean. Chicago royalty. You have played every 30 clubs in Chicago.
Oh God, no, way more than that. Well, over 30 years, it's been a lot of a lot of places. Yeah, that's why I can't remember any of the names of them.
So, give me a little bit of the history. How did you come to being a musician, songwriter?
Wow. Well, my dad was a painter, and my mom is a writer and, crazy person who loves art. And her record collection is what got me. Her record collection was mostly black artists. It was actually a mix of black artists, jazz artists, and soul and R&B mixed with Leonard Cohen and lyricists, Bob Dylan. So I kind of have. So that's how I end up now, right? Whatever happens to your orientation. So my orientation was blues and soul and jazz, and then my mom would have these folksy folks who wrote lyrics and poetry, and she gave me a book of Lawrence Ferlinghetti's poetry when I was 14. So that kind of changed my life, and I tried to, I've always been interested in language, So the intersection of those two things, I think, is kind of where I sit, where I live.
And so you were saying you were influenced then by poetry early on, and of course your funky parents, which I think always helps.
Yeah.
So how do you go through the songwriting process? And I think specifically what I want to ask, because you don't just cover some songs from time to time. The majority of what you do is original music. How do you know when a song is good?
I think you have to you spend time with it. It's a relationship, they're like your kids. Like people say, what's your favorite song or what's your favorite record? And it's like, you don't have a favorite, you like them differently, whatever. But I think a lot of it is bringing it in front of people and how you feel about it. But the good ones tend to know that they're good. That sounds ridiculous, but they tend, you just know it's a good song. And when you're singing it, that it feels, I don't know, you want to sing it. You have a feeling for it that's positive and you want to give it life.
So you feel that it's come together.
Yeah, I mean, and every songwriter who writes you have to write a lot of songs, a lot of really bad songs to come up with a good song. So I write a lot, but and then you get the gem and you kind of work on it for a while. I read this thing, Leonard Cohen, who just died recently. Yeah. He would write 20 notebooks for a song.
Oh, gosh.
Which I think is tedious, but obviously the result is, Suzanne and songs like that. But he would write 20 notebooks. Now that's from this old thing called Songlines, this old newspaper from LA. I think it was, and interviewed people like every great songwriter that I loved. And that was this interview, and he, 20 notebooks.
Wow, because the editing process there,
right.
the time to edit.
I do 19. 20 is like pushing
you
it.
slacker. Unfortunately, we're going to hit a break really fast. When we come back, we'll be back with Nicholas Barron, and there's a chance, people. There's a chance he's going to sing. So you might want to hang around. I'm going to hit a break, and here we go. So I am here with the ever fabulous Nicholas Barron, which I should say, Sir Nicholas Barron to me, and maybe to you people as well. So walk me through. I'm always amazed. So many of us struggle with, I'd love to do this, but it makes no money, so I'm an accountant from 9 to 5. Not that there's anything wrong with being an accountant, but, they have this other job that pays the bills, 9 to 5, but there's this hobby that they love, and here you've taken your love and you make it work for you. Take me through a day in the life of you, a successful musician, and yet you haven't had like a pop charts money gushing thing, and you don't teach.
No, I do. I did start.
Do you
but
start
I teach out. But I teach out of my home. But I teach songwriting and.
Okay, so take me through a life in the day of Sir Nicholas Barron.
Well, my thing is really spontaneity. So my life tends to be very improvised, and so I'm either, because I'm a visual artist, so I'm either drawing, painting, writing songs. Obviously I'm on the phone trying to get gigs or keep those relationships going and trying to get more, concerts and things like that. And it's a lot of work, because it's not a structured environment. It's not a structured thing. I'm dealing with, within my cacophony. I call it pleasant cacophony. I'm making things happen. But I do as much visual art as I do music, actually, maybe even more. On a daily basis, I draw every day, like many, many drawings. And it's sort of like my friend Monty Beauchamp, came up with this word divine affliction. I came up with affliction. He's like, divine affliction. If you're an artist, you have to do it, and you find a way to do it, and it doesn't matter. And I've known this my whole life. That I had to do it, and
you don't have a choice.
You don't really have a choice, and I know that if you don't live it, it's hard for someone else to understand that. But it literally. I know I would not be who I was. I wouldn't be. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be who I was if I didn't do this.
You couldn't function.
I couldn't function, and I wouldn't function. I wouldn't be happy. And it definitely has saved me in a lot of ways, or maybe it definitely makes me feel, it's a catharsis. When I sing, it makes me feel, better. And so many times I've been down and I sing, and, I sing blues a lot, which is blues, and it makes me happy, So it's a very, it's amazing,
I always think it's such an interesting dynamic with the artist, because in some ways it is absolutely a point of privilege. You get to do what you love. And so many people, everyone says, oh, the artists are so gifted, and they are, but there are so many among us who are doing the 9 to 5, who have a voice, who maybe sing or write or whatever, skate or whatever they do for their creative outlet, and they haven't been able to work that into their daily lives. And so I think the artist really comes from a point of privilege, because they can do what they love and express themselves, the joy in expressing oneself and being heard and having that voice.
I think it makes your life, way more powerful. But I also think that it isn't like something that's given to you. Unless I didn't come from a trust fund. I didn't come from money. So I literally went to the subway just when I started, and I had no money, and I didn't have anything to fall back on to save me ever. And I think that what that does is it lights a fire under your butt. You have to make money. When I first started, I would make $20 to $100 a day playing in the subway, and that was my food for the day, or
cash.
Cash. I mean, but I was so young and so naive that I could have, quote unquote, I could afford that, but I knew that I couldn't do anything else, and I knew I didn't want to do anything else. So it's not necessarily, it's a privilege and it's gift, but it's what you do with it. You have to, like a child, you have to embrace it and grow it. And
so therein lies the dichotomy. In one sense, I think it is such a point of privilege, and in one sense, it's the hardest job on the planet, because there's no security.
Thank you for saying that.
Oh, it is. There's no security. There's no stability. Yeah. So you have a gig one night, maybe that relationship falls apart. You never get that gig again. Yeah. You are constantly reinventing the wheel, and you do every job. You're the marketer. Yeah. You're the promotions guy. You're the guy who pays the bills and gets the gig. And, then you write and you create and you produce and you edit. And oh, my word.
Well, I think everybody in this world really has an affinity for something, comes into the world and are going to be, someone's going to be an ambulance, be someone who works in an ambulance, someone's going to be a doctor, someone's going to be, I do think that we're drawn to things. Like the sight of blood makes me ill, right? I mean, I would die myself doing that job. That's not my, don't let me operate on you.
You're not the EMT.
Not at all. Okay. No. So don't let me do that. But that's a gift, and I feel like everyone has those. There's something they're drawn to. I'm not an electrician. I don't work in cars. I'm not. But that's you're drawn to it, and who knows where that comes from. But I do think, I think that the thing you said that I never hear people say is that artists, get looked at a lot as like, oh, I don't know what the ideas are, irresponsible, or no, it's a lot. It's an incredible amount of work, like you say, because the structure is not there. It's not a 9-to-5 job. It's not a.
And you got to make that structure happen, whereas the rest of us live in structured lives already. Well, let's hear a little bit of your gift, and right after the song, we'll go into break. But we're going to come back and talk more about how to be a successful artist, which I really consider you to be, because you live by your own rules and you make enough money to live and your family. So please, people, that's successful. But before we get to all that, after the news and break, sing us something good.
This is called Before the Fat Lady Sings. It's all about what we're talking about. I wrote this about being a street musician. I wrote it about the divine affliction of being an artist, and it goes like this. Well, I was struck with my affliction at a very early age, and I knew I had to make my music non-fiction, or I'd be like a panther in a cage. I had no one to show me what to do, so I started playing in the underground, just to maximize my acoustic amphitheater. Through the filter of the blues, I started making sound. Cause this ain't no dress rehearsal. No, this is a real thing. No do-overs on reversal. We can't wait till the fat lady sing. We can't wait till the fat lady sings. We can't wait till the call for the second string. We can't wait till the fat lady sings. We can't wait till the knockout bell rings. Knockout bell rings. Well, 8 hours a day in the Church of the Hill. That's where I went to school to sing. I led a blues band and a jazz quartet, and I made more than enough money to live. And I know it sounds kind of crazy, but dudes in 3-piece suits stood around listening, saying they wish they was me, cause I was following my heart and living the dream. And that's what it means to be free. Oh, this ain't no dress rehearsal. No, this is the real thing. No do-overs on reversals. We can't wait till the fat lady sing. We can't wait till the fat lady sings. We can't wait till they call for the second string. We can't wait till the fat lady sings. We can't wait till the knockout bell rings. Been doing this a long time, and only where I played has changed, but I still see myself at Jackson and State, and I still hear them cats telling me I'm lucky, but now I know that luck is what you make. Luck is what you make, yeah. Ooh, luck is what you make, yeah.
Woohoo! Nicholas Barron playing live here in the WGN radio studios. I'm going to say, folks, that I just recorded that on my phone, so I'm going to put that on my Twitter if it'll take the 2-minute video, and my Instagram, both of which are Dinner Party CHGO, and it's also going to go on my Facebook page, which is Elysabeth Alfano. So you can check it there later if you'd like, because the awesome Nicholas Barron is in the house. We're going to go to a quick break, and then we'll have news. So Nicholas Barron is in the house, and that was going into the break there, coming out of the break. That was my very favorite Nicholas Barron song, Love
Bus.
Bus.
Mom's favorite.
Oh, God, I love that song.
Thank you.
So great to have you, Nicholas, here in the
So great to be
WGN
here
studio.
with you, my friend.
So right before we went to news and break and traffic, which now seems like forever ago, but we were talking about what it takes to be a successful artist. So a lot of people, you know, if you're super lucky, so not a lot of people, some people hit it big with a pop song, and so there's money coming in that way. Or a lot of people go the teaching route. But for the longest time, you just did gig to gig to gig to gig. And so I'm wondering, what are the traits, according to you, to be a successful artist?
Well, I think the definition obviously depends on your life and where you come from. And for me, there was kind of never any question because my parents are artists and didn't have money. I didn't grow up with money, so I didn't have a father who was like, "You're going to be a banker" or whatever. I never had any of that stuff, and it was kind of left to me to figure it out. And I went to music school, but I really didn't like school. I was never a school person, and I couldn't really focus well enough. And so I ended up just, I think the last time I had a quote-unquote regular job was when I was 20. So it's been a long time, 31 years.
3 decades.
Yeah, a long, long time ago. So this is all I've done. And it's, it's work, but it's also, it doesn't feel like work all the time. I mean, there are gigs that I'm like, oh my goodness, but for the most part, that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to do concerts all the time. And of course, people that get to do that all the time, some people win the lottery, so to speak, but I think, and there are different levels, but I also about 8 or 9 or 10 years ago started painting and drawing as much as doing music. So, which is another very lucrative profession. I'm kidding. But another thing that I just, I come from a father who's a painter and a mother who does that. So for me, it was kind of like, it feels good. It feels obvious, that I would do that. But, yeah.
Well, so if you are now doing painting, how much of your time is spent painting and how much of your time is spent in music?
Well, like I said, I draw more than I do paint, but I draw more than anything at the moment. I'm setting up we got 6 months ago moved into a house with a garage that I can use as a studio. It's kind of like Jackson Pollock's,
exactly like Jackson Pollock.
Exactly, it's amazing. It's in the middle of the woods. No.
Well, so you mentioned that, but I'm going to say, and for those of you who don't know Nicholas's drawings and also paintings, I'm going to throw some up on my Facebook as well later today, so you can hit up Elysabeth Alfano on Facebook. But I'm going to say that you do have a Jackson-esque quality in that your artwork is so immediate.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like you're going from point A to point Z. It looks like it's all coming.
Nothing's
like your
planned.
brain.
Nothing's planned. And actually, that's kind of how I live. That's how I write songs and a lot. And that's how I definitely do work, because I don't have it's definitely like improv. It's kind of like improv comedy. I mean, you just go with the one line leads to the next line, and it becomes its abstract expressionism. And my dad used to take us to the Whitney Museum in New York, and I saw Willem de Kooning and Jackson Pollock, of course, and Arshile Gorky, and a bunch of big people who then, when I loved, but it didn't mean as much. And then when I started painting, it was like all this stuff started coming out, and my work kind of looks. As you know, I have an 8-foot painting at the City Winery downtown, yes. And that's a huge, almost like Lee Krasner, abstract expressionist painting, and it's called Autobiographical. It's for sale. So
for some of the people who are listening, and maybe we're throwing around some names that don't mean much to you, let's just say that, and these are Nicholas's words, so this is not a slam. This is actually really how it goes. You started doodling, and you were a big doodler as a child.
My God.
And so it's just, if you can imagine people, and again, I'm going to throw these up on Facebook later, if you can imagine small doodles on a napkin, and you take that concept and you throw it magnified by like 100 times, and so it's doodle 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 that grows and expands. Sometimes there's colors, sometimes it's just black and white. It's that doodle that goes on to an 8-foot painting that again has that really immediate feeling.
Right.
And so I'm wondering, something that you like to say about yourself is that you feel, and this is a point of pride for you, and I would agree, that you're an artist who doesn't censor yourself. So tell me what you mean by that.
Well, I think I just think the word artist in general, I think if you're an artist, there is a level at which you have to allow there to be what is there, and sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's light, but it's just to uncover. When I'm painting, for me, because it's different than music in a lot of ways, because it's a different feeling, and yet somewhat it's some muscle group, so to speak. But it's going with the flow and uncovering what may already be there. And yeah, the doodling, because I was hyperactive. I don't feel as much like that, but my whole life I was hyperactive, and I couldn't sit still, and I literally would draw on everything. Draw on everything is what Draw on Everything Productions. So, and so when I transferred it to doing bigger stuff, it was kind of like, I wanted it to look more like my heroes, Willem de Kooning and stuff. So I took it a little broader, and my dad would sit with me and give me a little bit of advice, and talk to me about balance and form, and he'd already told me that kind of stuff during my life with painting, but then I started using it, and it actually helped me. It actually informed my songwriting, I think, too, and everything else, singing and performing.
Well, it's interesting how the two kind of play off each other. So you have music that informs the doodling, drawing, artwork, painting, and then that also informs the music.
Yeah.
I will say that, so Nicholas was saying, everybody, that he draws on everything. It's true. If you also want to go to my Facebook page, you can see the music video that I just videotaped. It's going to go on my page. You can see his guitar that he works on, that he's singing on. Every inch of it has... Is this out of magic marker?
No, this is they're called Art Deco. First it was just black Sharpie oil paint Sharpie that I did just black. I didn't lacquer it. It was not logical. I didn't do the exact thing that most people, luthiers do, So it, some of it has rubbed off. A lot of it's rubbed off, and then I got an Art Deco color pen. I was in New Orleans, where I go a lot, and it just felt more festive, like confetti or whatever, And now all my guitars, even my electrics, they're all, have this kind of spontaneity.
I'm going to say that there is something about your work, that immediacy, that it feels like confetti just coming out of your brain, like all these thoughts and things, and all this energy just coming from your brain right to the page. So it's very fun. Awesome. But you mentioned, just one quickie question before we throw to break again. You mentioned, okay, all artists need to be open, and so in that sense, not censor themselves, but then there's also, art has the commercial devil as well. And so I wonder how much of what you do in the back of your mind is saying, oh, I hope this one really hits it big, or I'm going to push this piece or this song this way because I'm really hoping that it goes the commercial route.
Well, I just did, and I'm doing currently a bunch of blues icon drawings. So they're 14 by 17, and they're going to be at the Elephant Room Gallery next to Buddy Guy's for the month of January. Because Buddy Guy plays Thursday through Sundays. I play there every Sunday. And so there'll be drawings of and maybe we can take a picture or whatever and put it up on the site too. But they're my drawings of Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters and Coco Taylor and, on and on and on with my kind of look like folk art.
Please.
Mavis Staples, I haven't done Mavis yet.
Got an award last night. Just a small one.
Just a small one, yeah. So So when I am thinking a little bit commercially with that, smaller things that people can take with them. I do bigger things that are really more for me, that are, some people may be able to afford, but they're a little more expensive, and, they're hard to put in your pocket. So.
Okay, so we're going to throw to break, but before we do, we'll say Elephant Room next to Buddy Guy's the month of January, and I'm guessing people could probably see them on your site as well.
Yeah, actually on Instagram and Facebook I have.
Nicholas Barron.
Yeah, not on my website has a link to it, but that's where you'll see my paintings. I have nicholasbarron.com/art. And you can see a lot of paintings there and stuff. So.
nicholasbarron.com/art. We're going to break, and we'll be back.
I'm not Superman, I can't fly. I do my best, man, just to get by.
The stellar beatboxes of Nicholas Barron, who's in the house, in the studio, WGN Studios. Nicholas, always so great to have you with me.
I love being with you.
That's so great. Okay, so right before we went to the break, we were talking about your career as an artist, a visual artist, as well as a musician. So you... like 5 years ago, really got into being a visual artist, right?
Like almost
paintings, drawings.
I think it's more like 9 or 10, something like that.
9 or 10. Okay.
It's been
so you started, again, these are your own words, doodling, and that doodling just went to the next level and the next level. You started doing larger and larger pieces of work, started doodling on your guitars, and then went to these large canvases. For those of us who maybe have a creative bent as well, but we just can't see how to really bring that to fruition, what kind of vision did you have for yourself that would allow you to say, yeah, I'm doodling on the back of a napkin and I'm going to take this to the next level?
Well, in my case, I had a personal thing where it's a long story, but something where writing songs, I was kind of in pain. I was going through a big thing, and usually songwriting and singing would help.
Yeah.
And my dad, I think I found a window or a couple old windows in the alley, and my dad gave me a canvas, and I started just using Sharpies, and then it turned, evolved along the way into other things, acrylic paints, and now I use oil pastels, which are not pragmatic or not, it's more like I'm a graffiti artist in a lot of ways. I just try to.
It feels that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so that's how it evolved, or how it grew from there.
Okay, so it wasn't necessarily a vision for yourself.
It wasn't. No, I wouldn't say. Again, because I'm a very spontaneous person, it was really out of sort of need or out of an emotional place. I think for me, I think that's for a lot of artists that I respect. I think it does come from that place, and not an intellectual place, but
And it just kept growing.
Yeah,
from
and
there.
it kept evolving, and I kept on the road and the path, so to speak. And
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so then my next question is, we talked about a little bit before about how it's hard to be an artist. Everyone thinks like, oh, you've got to, it's so easy. You lie on the couch all day and just pontificate about life. But of course, to make the ends meet and to sell that art and to connect with people, I mean, ultimately, the majority of artists want their work to be seen and felt, and they want some connection to who they're showing the artwork to. So you've got to make that happen and work. So that's a very hard part of being an artist. But another really hard thing, most of us go through life trying to mask our feelings, trying to actually not feel that feeling, or maybe not let it all hang out there for the world to see and hear what we're going through. I wonder if another hard part about being an artist is the self-doubt that must come. Like, sometimes you must wonder, am I on the path? Or, because you don't have any boss that's saying it's your 3-month review time, or we're going to, so.
I wish there was.
Because you don't always have somebody pushing you to the next level. So how do you get through those periods when you doubt that maybe this isn't all
Some of it's the unknown. Some of it is having faith and having trust in the process. And like, it is very difficult. I mean, we live in a culture where we grow up thinking about fame, especially now more than ever, since American Idol started 15 or 16 years ago. I mean, even more so. Fame becomes more valuable than the process. And for me, luckily, I'm a little older, and I went through, learning about the process. And when I didn't, I've had a lot of close calls with, fame or breaking through or big things happening, and they didn't happen. And I have to look at those as well. I guess it wasn't meant to happen. I wasn't in the right place for this reason or that reason. And other people win the lottery, like I said before. But I do think that, like, again, if you love it, you do it, and you have to do it. And for me, and this has been my way of doing it, is I came out of the subway and I started playing 7 nights a week at every kind of place I could, restaurants and bars and places that were just great rooms. Or I would literally walk by, my joke amongst my musicians, I would see a Burger King and be like, I could play there. That's not true. I didn't play a Burger King.
Joint happen.
But I mean, I made a living. I grew up poor. I wanted to make money doing what I loved, and it was just that simple. And I ended up sort of, I did that. That was my model. And I knew other people, friends of mine, who worked at the record shop and would only play their original music. And, that has a lot of merit, but their experience and their background was different than mine. I wanted to, I wanted to play music all the time. And I wanted to make money from that. I don't know where that came from, other than the fact that, like I said, I grew up with not a lot of money. So, and then it evolved and has evolved now to where I just pretty much want to do my own music as much as possible.
And I think you hit on a really important thing, is you have to believe.
Yeah.
You have to believe, honestly. I always say this in life in general, whether it's art or not. You have to believe and give. Otherwise, what's the point?
Well, the other thing is writing songs, and I think of myself a little bit in the place where Cat Stevens writes a song, or write a song, and it's social and it's personal and everybody relates to it. And I think with Trump becoming president soon, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to we're going to be entering a time where songwriters and artists are going to have that voice again, where there's an emotional. People are going to want to hear the truth, and they're going to want to hear, they're going to want, we're going to, talking about racism, talking about diversity, talking about love, talking about things that are very valuable,
Well, we'd love to hear the truth here on WGN Radio. Would you like to sing us something?
Yeah. That was amazing.
Talking about the truth here, Nicholas Barron's going to sing us something, and then sadly we're going to run to break, and that's the end of our hour together. So for everybody listening, I'll just say Nicholas Barron always plays Sundays, Buddy Guys, and then of course nicholasbarron.com/artwork.
Well, or just .com and music on one side
and
or the other side. Yeah.
And you'll find it there. Take us away, baby. What you got?
I'm going to play a song called Ain't No Woman from my latest record, and it's co-written with my friend Brad Taylor.
Met you downtown in the morning, fell in love by afternoon. But you said you was a rolling stone, and then you were just passing through. So I called you on the telephone. You're mighty on my mind. And while the phone was ringing, I could hear my temperature rise. Ain't no woman make me shiver. Ain't no woman make me ache. Ain't no woman in this whole wide world, only you can make the fever break. I search for you day and night. I can't break a spell. And if I don't find you soon, there ain't no way that I'm getting well. Ooh, I thought I saw you on the South Train, with your arms around another man. And I ain't seen straight no more. Don't know how much more this I can stand. You know, ain't no woman make me shiver. Ain't no woman make me ache. There ain't no woman in this whole wide world. Only you, only you, only you can make the fever break.
Nicholas Barron live in the WGN radio studios. We are over and out. We're going to break. Thank you, Nicholas.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Angeline, did you hear me?
Thanks for joining in on The Celebrity Dinner Party with me, Elysabeth Alfano. To stay in the know, follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at DinnerPartyCHGO and on Facebook at Elysabeth Alfano and at The Dinner Party. To subscribe to this podcast, find The Celebrity Dinner Party on iTunes and on SoundCloud. And if you want to send me an email about today's podcast or anything else, you can find all my information at www.thedinnerparty.tv. The editor of The Celebrity Dinner Party is Andrew Jensen. The original music is by the Websters and Ship Captain Crew. Thanks for listening today, and join me on the next Celebrity Dinner Party podcast, where the best conversations happen over dinner.